Hi, my name is Dermot. I'm about to embark on a grand adventure. I'm doing the Te Araroa Trail in New Zealand, over 3,000 kilometres from Cape Rania to Bluff, southbound, in a couple of weeks' time. So I only decided a few months ago, so it's been furious planning and gear check. And what I thought I would do as gear started to arrive, I'd do a section hike of one of the tougher sections, the Tararua Ranges section, and the following section as well. So going from Leven, southeast of Leven Podes Road, down to Waikanae. Originally over 5 days, but that turned into 6 days. Various reasons for that. So I've done a much longer piece, it's about 30 minutes, just describing the whole process and my day-to-day progress. But what I thought I'd do here is do just a real short summary of my findings, particularly around one of the big decisions I had being a long-term tramper, using just boots and heavy packs, is how would things go if I just were trail runners. So that was one big question, and also I've always had a heavy pack with lots of safety gear, and how that would go, and various other questions around what should I do about hydration and so on. So I'll do a summary of my findings. But if you want to find out the whole process, I'll link the other longer video, and there's much more of a feel in that video of what the Taroos are like. So Taroos can be very changeable in weather, and literally you can have multiple seasons in one day almost at any time of year, particularly when southerlies come through. It doesn't have to be enormously daunting. I think it's the key thing is just be prepared, and don't cut corners with respect to your own abilities and gear. If bad weather's coming, you don't feel you have the gear, you just wait it out, and what that might mean, you need more food. And so hopefully this will help. So there's a little bit round what the terrors look like here, and then some findings. But if you want to find more, just have a look at the other longer piece. So what did I learn? Well, big thing, of course, it's obvious, really. Read the notes. I'll look ahead at the track, a couple of days ahead, potentially look out for sections where might be tricky, or at least get to know the route. So that's the first main one. The second big thing for me is just water. I'll need to carry extra capacity, so I'll probably bring enough containers for max 3 liters. It doesn't mean I'm going to have 3 liters all the time. I'll have some collapsible bottles. So, and also the Catadin has been, tremendous. That's a revelation for me. Having been just doing hut to hut where I've had water accessible, being able to use that in situations confidently has been great. I think I definitely prefer the Catadin to the Sawyer squeeze. It's just an easier system for me, but I have got the Sawyer squeeze as a backup. So that's the second thing is just water management is do it as a continuous thing, because even in the Tararua, even the pouring rain, you're not necessarily going to get water collected. You're on watersheds, you hear it, it's tantalizing close. You might not be able to get to it. So that's the second thing is water. The third thing, again, it's obvious to people who have been doing this for a while, is the importance of really getting the weight down. On gear, awesome pack, the Gossamer. But what I learned about that is there is a compromise, weight versus robustness. So my Mac pack, big pack, whatever it is, 2.5, 3 kgs, is bulletproof. It's strong canvas. I can chuck that down on rocks, sharp stuff, and I've never had a problem. So I've had that for about 10 years. But my delicate flower of a bag is awesomely light, but I cannot chuck it around like I have done. So I just need to be careful, So absolutely the lighter pack, but I just need to be careful of how I manage it. So that's other lesson learned. Absolutely moving from my big pack to my light pack. And then there's boots versus trail runners. The trail runners have been tremendous. So, fortunately, I got past potentially having a big issue with uh, losing my shoe in a swamp. So long as the laces are done up, I had absolutely no problem. And this is somebody who's had boots forever, really. Anytime I've done a long hike, it's always been boots, and I'll still use boots in winter. I mean, my feet would get way too cold in winter, and I have other boots for snow with crampons, so I'll continue to use those. But anything, spring, summer, autumn, they've been tremendous actually. I've felt a lightness, and maybe my feet are used to having done so many kilometers when I was training for the marathon. That may have helped, but I felt no issues around with my ankles. But really, I'm very careful with my foot placing, so I think that's a critical thing. You just have to be very conscious, a bit more conscious probably, and maybe I skirted around mucky bits a bit more, but the trail runners are absolutely fantastic. Quite a few times I went off the trail, and something simple like I'm listening to an audiobook, not concentrating, and then I keep going, and then suddenly I think, actually I haven't seen that orange triangle in a while, totally lost, and that costs sometimes half an hour, and having to just stomach going back again, just finding my way. So very obvious things, but when you're going along, it's quite easy to go a little bit awry. And even, when I got into swamps, I still didn't think, actually, this is not the way. It's only until a little bit, I was tired later in the day. So electronics, I think overall, yeah, I need to redo and have a think. So poles, definitely a second pole, and probably two new poles totally. So I've only got 4 weeks to go. So like I said, I've started late, but I think I'm feeling okay about most of it. My old Lecky was good, but I think having two is a lot easier. I'll still probably just use one through bush and going down, because I find it a lot easier to maneuver. Um, having one hand free. So, that's, I'm moving on from electronics now, clearly. So Lecky poles, or whatever poles I get, I like Lecky. So I think I found a purpose, at least one of the purposes. For me, the thought of spending 4 months or so on the trail is just wonderful, just sinking into thoughts and experiences and meeting people. But it's also a reflection. And a reflection for me on the place of nature and healing and uplifting and holding in difficult times. So difficult times means different things to different people. But for me personally, I've always been drawn back when the going got tough or whatever was happening, just to go and get away for a couple of days and let nature heal. So whatever it means, that'll be an interesting thing. So I hope you've enjoyed this experiment, gear test, whatever you call this thing, and can look at it, Tararua's in a different way. You don't have to be daunted by it if you're looking at this from a Te Araroa perspective, but also if you're just looking at this from, maybe you might do some tramping or whatever, some gear choices. Hope you got something out of it. So onwards and onto the trail in a couple of weeks' time.